What is going on, YouTube? Andrew Miller from Hook'emHeadlines.com. Coming back at y'all today with a kind of a reaction video and just breaking the news, if you will, if y'all haven't seen it yet. Texas and OU have officially struck a deal with the Big 12 to leave for the SEC in 2024. The news came directly from an official release from the Big 12 Conference on their website, as well as a tweet. Recording this just after 7 p.m. local time on February 9th, so the news came out within the last 30 minutes of me recording this. If you want to see the write-up for it from the website as well, I'll link that up in the description below as always. But yeah, give my reaction on it, give some of the kind of the important details here, and what this will ultimately mean for both schools, and where the conversation will go from here in terms of Texas and OU leaving for the SEC now by next year. So kind of read off here some of the important details of this. So looking straight at the Big 12's website, pretty much reads like this. UT and OU will be able to leave the conference following the 2023-24 athletic year, 1 year earlier than originally announced, subject to final approval from the OU and UT governing boards. Compensation to the conference for the early withdrawals of the two schools will total $100 million in foregone distributable revenues, which OU and UT will be able to partially offset with future revenues. So essentially what this means is once the governing boards for both schools approve this, which I would assume is going to be a done deal here shortly, that there will essentially be $100 million penalty for both schools leaving 1 year early. It's saying this saying partially offset with future revenues in terms of what they're losing with the $100 million. That I believe it's any revenue that they bring in for the next year and a half or so can eat into what they would owe for leaving the conference early. But again, I'll put the link in the description below to kind of this explanation, just for further clarity, or if I didn't explain that well, or if I'm missing something here, because to be honest, this news just coming out about 30 minutes ago, and there are more details still being worked out by my understanding here. We will have you covered the entire way at the website as well at Hook'emHeadlines.com, but yeah, a few other important points here. For one, this obviously means that the 2023 football season will be the final year for Texas and OU competing in the Big 12. For 1 year, the two schools will be competing in the conference with the four new additions, which are BYU, Houston, UCF, and Cincinnati. As far as Texas is concerned, Houston and BYU are going to be the two schools that Texas faces. Before leaving the conference, they had Oklahoma State and West Virginia drop off the schedule for the 2023 season among the usual Big 12 foes that the Longhorns have faced annually for about the past decade. A couple other things, obviously this means that this will be the final year that Texas and OU are playing in the conference as well. This is something that I really think will be interesting, because from a basketball perspective, the Big 12 is the best conference in the country top to bottom right now, and I would definitely go so far as to say that better than the SEC at the moment. But I think in both football and basketball, you're going to see some rowdy stadiums and arenas. This is going to be the last shot for a lot of schools to face Texas and OU in major sports, and so I know this is obvious, but every single fan base that has a shot at these two schools is going to have some rowdy atmospheres, and is going to take full advantage to do so, I do believe. As far as the Big 12 is concerned, I think that this is the best move ultimately for all parties involved. I didn't really think that the Big 12 was going to try too hard to hang on to Texas and OU. I've mentioned it before, but I really don't think it was the best idea to have Texas and OU hanging around for 2 more years, just knowing that, both schools are very, very eager to get out. That, to be honest, a lot of schools in the Big 12 aren't too happy to see Texas and OU around. I'm sure a lot of other schools are happy to beat them in other sports if it comes to that, but I really think that this is the best move, because the Big 12 can get some of their revenue. the TV networks can strike up new deals. The Big 12 can also focus on getting its division alignment for future years for football, for basketball, things like that, because there was no divisional structure that was set yet. So I like I said, I think it's for the best for them to have 1 year in flux, and then in 2024, the Big 12 can focus on what its future will look like on a permanent basis, and then Texas and OU can finally get into the conference that they want to be competing in. This will help in terms of alignment with recruiting. I know for like football and basketball, I'm sure that a lot of recruits were eager to hear what conference they would be playing in, because right now you're kind of in the thick of the 2023 and 2024 recruiting classes, where these kids coming into campus in the next couple of years will be spending the majority of their collegiate career now competing in the SEC instead of the Big 12. So it's important for that as well. I would say last but not least, I mean, obviously you got future schedules here that have to be altered. As far as Texas is concerned, I mean, there's some big games on the schedule in the next couple of years coming up, and I don't know how many of these games Texas is going to end up keeping on the non-conference slate in coming years. For instance, they have Michigan on the schedule. They're supposed to host Michigan in 2024. In 2025, I believe that's the first year against Ohio State. Yeah, you travel to Ohio State, and I believe that takes the other end of the home and homes there for the next couple of years. So yeah, they host Ohio State in 2026, and then in 2027 you travel to Michigan. So there's some massive games there as far as Fox is concerned, and I know that probably played a role in talks about a week ago. It was like a week or so ago that talks kind of fell through initially for Texas and OU finding an early settlement with the Big 12 and with the TV networks to be able to leave. But these are some big games from the Big Ten that could be like big noon kickoff type games for the SEC, or excuse me, for Fox in the Big Ten. And I mean, this entire thing adds a little bit more intrigue too, as far as Texas is concerned. They travel to Alabama on September 9th, and depending on how kind of these different like SEC divisions or pods are decided in the next couple of years, that that Texas could be facing Alabama on a very frequent basis. Now, they're in the back end of a home and home in 2023, but I mean, that's going to be a little preview of what could be to come. As far as OU is concerned, I don't believe, they don't have any SEC schools on the non-con this year. I don't think there was one anytime soon. If you're looking out a few years, there's not an SEC school on the non-con in the near future, but OU does have Michigan as well. And their non-con, I believe, is 2025 and 2026 for a home and home. So again, as far as like TV networks are concerned, like future important non-conference games, that's going to be something to watch as well. But that's about it for my initial reactions here. Like I said, there's going to be more stuff coming out on this. It's going to be interesting to see like division alignments, maybe future kind of financial ramifications of this, TV deal renegotiations, and hell, maybe you got more conference realignment conversation that comes around from this as well. But now you finally have the date of when Texas and OU are going to be able to leave for the SEC, which is going to be essentially the summer of 2024. As well, you got USC, UCLA leaving for the Big Ten. I'm sure that this is something that can open the door for more realignment conversation as the TV networks start to figure out new deals, as renegotiations start happening, division realignments, things like that. But anyway, for Andrew Miller at Hook'emHeadlines.com, that's pretty much it. Hook 'em.